Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I want to wish everybody out there a very happy Thanksgiving. I realize it's not Thanksgiving yet, but I also know that there are households out there that are working feverishly to get ready for a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and you deserve it. After going through 2020, you absolutely deserve to have a wonderful Thanksgiving event. So I just want to wish you great tidings, great blessings, all the things that I should wish you when it comes to Thanksgiving, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a good time. I've got family and friends coming over. I live in a state where I don't have to necessarily worry about, the government deciding whether or not I should wear a mask in my house or who I should have over. So I'm very thankful for that. And I realize that's not always the case with everybody out there. So whatever your situation, make it the best Thanksgiving that you can have. Now, on today's show, what I've done is I've asked somebody that I know who's a Lifestyles Unlimited member to come on the show today because I think you have the opportunity to learn something from her. Now, when I classify this person, the one thing that comes to mind when I think of Leslie is that, first of all, she's very intelligent. She's got some advanced degrees in things that, trust me, I could have never, ever gotten those degrees. I'm not in her class of intelligence. But that doesn't matter, because the neat thing about Leslie is that she's very personable. She's very smart, but she's very personable. And she was doing some of the things that you're doing in your life to try and achieve retirement. But she kind of hit a roadblock along the way, and she found that maybe she needed to do something a little differently. So along the way, she discovered Lifestyles Unlimited and became a member. And what we're going to do today is we're going to get into Leslie's story, because first of all, you're going to find out she's a really warm and open person, and she really cares about other people, and she really cares about helping you. And the best way we can help you is for you to learn from her experiences so that maybe you don't duplicate some of the things that she and I have done and cause a trap for yourself as you're trying to get to retirement. So let me do this. Let me bring Leslie on right now, and let's get to know her a little bit. Leslie, are you there?
I am. So good to be with you, Al.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show, and I really hope I'm not interrupting any of your Thanksgiving plans by dragging you onto the radio.
No, it's a pleasure to be with you. It's beautiful weather here in South Texas. This is the time of year we love, just really enjoying some time. So it's exciting to be with you, and I can't wait to share some thoughts with our listeners today.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. Tell us about you and Joe, and what life was for you all back when you were working and doing the things that, well, we've all done, and maybe up to that point where you decided a change was in order with regards to your retirement strategy.
Sure. I spent a lot of years in the corporate world, like a lot of our members do. Probably 25 years, long time. And actually, I started out as an engineer, again, like many of our members are. Realized before too long that probably wasn't my best career path, not really a great fit for my personality. So I took the steps to make a big career shift into doing leadership development and training, which I still, even to this day, really enjoy doing. And did that in the corporate world for a lot of years. And but always in the back of my mind, I had this thought, it'd be great to have some other income streams, some side hustles, as we call them now, right? So I always had my eye out looking for opportunities like that, and would pursue some things even while I was in the corporate world. And I did eventually leave the corporate world. I had a chance with a corporate buyout when they were doing some layoffs, and decided to take that and I had my own business going on the side and went ahead and built that. But even still, I always was hungry to add some variety in there. My goal was to have some additional revenue streams. And I'd heard lifestyles on the radio, off and on, little snippets of it here and there. And it always intrigued me. Both my mom's father, my grandfather, and my own father did some real estate, but not like what we teach at Lifestyles. But I was always intrigued by that and thought about that. It'd be worth learning some more about that. So if you want to, we can go into a little more of some of those kind of bits.
Yeah, so I mean, that you've really, as usual, have piqued my curiosity. What was it about that corporate culture that made you want to move away from it?
Well, a couple things. I mean, there were good aspects of it. I was very intentional about looking for ways that I could use my gifts and talents and pursue that. And one of my last job in the corporate world really did give me a lot of opportunity to do some training, to work with people, to coach, to mentor, some internal consulting, and I like that. The challenge of a corporate job is, I know a lot of our members and listeners know, is that they're in charge. It's their business, and they get to do it the way they want to. And when they wanted me to travel, I basically had to say, when am I going and for how long, So,
yeah, I know what that's like.
And be ready to go, And ended up doing a fair amount of traveling, which I personally, while I like to travel, I found it stressful to do that, and to do it with the frequency that I was doing it in the corporate job. So that was one of the reasons that I decided I really wanted to be able to call more of the shots on my own. Now, Joe, on the other hand, my husband, also an engineer, who really is called to be an engineer, I think. Very much, he likes his work. I really think he feels like it's a calling as far as he's very passionate about it.
Hold that thought, Leslie. We're getting ready to go to break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get back into your story because it is extremely interesting. Stick around. We'll be right back.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Welcome back to the show. So on today's show, I've asked Leslie to join me, and Leslie is just one of the neatest people I know because, she's just got a big heart for everything she touches. She really does. And when you're around somebody with that kind of personality, you really have no choice but to let some of that rub off on you. And, Leslie's just one of those people that has come into my life while I've been a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, who has shown me, different ways to look at things. And before we went to break, Leslie was kind of telling us about her experience in corporate America. She was talking a little bit about her husband, Joe, and how he was probably better suited to be an engineer than she was. I think she's suited to be whatever she chooses to be because my experience, yeah, I got you there. My experience with you, Leslie, has always been somebody that when you talk, I listen because the things that you say are always well thought through. So there's my high five to you. Let's get back in your story. Tell me about, how you guys started building a strategy to move away from what you were doing in the corporate world into what you're doing now.
For sure. Well, as I mentioned, I would listen occasionally and catch bits of the radio show, and it always intrigued me, and I thought, I'm going to have to check this out. So I did finally, and I actually went to, I think it was a case study originally that was very, very intriguing, and I decided to jump in and join. The basic membership is so reasonable. I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to jump in and check this out. And that was back in 2015. And what I did was go to, of course, the 2-day workshop, which was such an eye-opener. I was just amazed to be able to learn. We had a single-family property that we had lived in for a number of years, and then when we moved to another house in the neighborhood, we kept it as a rental. But, and I always tell people this when I talk to them on the phone about lifestyles, that when you go through the 2-day workshop, even if you've already got some single-family investments, pay really close attention because you're going to learn some stuff that's going to it's going to be eye-opening. You're going to learn all the stuff you're doing right, but you're going to learn some stuff you're not doing so well either that can really help you to be much more profitable with that. And that was the case. So that first day in the 2-day was very eye-opening in terms of, I'm making a list of actions I got to take after the class. But then on the second day, when they get into the multifamily, that was it was like a whole new world opened up for me. Because who knew that you could actually own an apartment complex and, as an investor. And it was just amazing. I thought single family was attractive, but multifamily has so many more possibilities. So it's like, okay, I need to do this.
I had that same experience that you did. I mean, I was that guy that sat in the 2-day on the Saturday and just going, what is it I'm doing right with my properties? Because everything that's being presented is just telling me that I'm screwed up. And you know what? They were right. I was screwed up. But like you said, I was able to take the information that I learned and I was able to put it into play. And man, did that make a big difference in my properties.
It really did. Absolutely. So that was my first piece. And then the second was, I was trying to think, okay, so how can I get Joe on board? This is very common, I think, for one spouse to get really excited and the other is hesitant, just because they haven't had the chance to sit through and hear the same information. So I finally made a deal with Joe. I said, how about if I've got more time flexibility? Because by this point, I was already out of the corporate world and with my own business. So I had flexibility, and much more than he did with his travel and so on. So I said, how about if I run with the real estate? I'll take the lead up, so to speak, with our own real estate things. Let me get that started for us. And it was actually 3 years ago in 2017. My mom was seriously ill at that point, and I was facing a challenge. And I think a lot of life decisions happen when we face a challenge. And it's like I needed to press pause on growing my own personal business. And I thought, okay, so what can I do? What could I do given my circumstances? I need to be flexible and available to my family to support my mom and dad. I thought, I've been wanting to really pursue the lifestyle stuff, and I could do that. I could take the training is online. I could do that in the middle of the night if I need to, and I could start moving forward. So again, I talked to Joe. I said, how about if I'll run with this? And so that's what I did. During the time when my mom was in hospice care, I could be flexible with her needs during the day, but if the evening I'd come home and I jumped into the classes and I got started with it. I'd reach out to lead investors, ask them to put me on their list, and before the end of the year, so within about 3 or 4 to 5 months, I was in some multifamily deals. And so it was like one of those kind of amazing times that even though it was a really very difficult and challenging time personally, it opened the door for our real estate investing with lifestyles. So anyway, I think really a silver lining to that time that we've carried on.
I kind of wanted to go back to you and Joe when you said, hey, I'll take the lead on this. What was Joe's attitude towards the real estate? I mean, was he supportive, or was he kind of like, yeah, you're going to do great? Or did he really think that possibly this real estate thing was just a bunch of nonsense? So, I mean, where was his mind?
Really, all the years we've been together a long time, and we've always had an interest in real estate, but had never really pursued it other than that one single-family rental. So I knew he had an interest in the back of his mind. I also knew realistically he was working 60 hours a week, traveling internationally. He did not have time to do it. And so that's why I said, let's work out something here. I've got the flexibility. Let me run with it. So what we did was, I had some IRA money. I'd been able, when I left the corporate job, they finally gave us the option to roll 401k money over personally into an IRA. So I did that immediately, so I'd have more control over those funds. Not that it was a ton of money, but still, And then when I decided to go ahead and become a preferred member and start doing the multifamily investing, I thought, that's a resource that I control, I can choose. Let me use some of that money for this good purpose. Let me put it in better investments that will give me a good return. And so gradually, I talked to my CPA, which I always encourage people, get some good accounting advice. And she gave us some good suggestions about timing on that, how we might want to structure that. And then we started investing. And what I did, I told Joe, when I find deals, as I go through them, I'll come and show you. I'll sift through them, and when I see a good one that I like, I'm going to bring it to you, and I'm going to show you what I like about it. Because I thought, well, that way I could begin to sort of teach him a little bit about it, but without him having to really do the heavy lifting, basically. And I also started showing him, here's one that I've looked at it, I've gone all the way through the offering memorandum, but I'm thinking maybe not to invest in it, and here's why, because I wanted to show him both sides of that. And, to me, that's really important, that you have to know your own personal investing goals, and then you look at the property and you decide, will this fit or maybe not,
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. So it sounds like Joe was your biggest cheerleader. And I'll tell you what, we're going to break. When we come back, we're going to get into the investing strategy. Stick around. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. So if you're just joining us, I have Leslie on the show with me today. Leslie is a multifamily investor, and she invests what we call passively. In other words, she injects money into real estate deals in the multifamily space that are offered by other Lifestyles Unlimited members. And she's built her portfolio up to, so far, 11 apartment communities that she's invested in. And what I want to get into, Leslie, is I want to talk about the strategy that you put together when you completed the educational program, and then maybe talk about if that strategy has modified anywhere along the way.
Sure. One of my favorite Lifestyles events, and I'm hoping we'll be able to do them in person again pretty soon, but even still, virtually, are the case studies that happen every month, because it's a really fun chance to get to see actual properties with, real people and their numbers, the pictures, the before and the after. So anyway, I've been a huge fan of that. And I remember still going to a case study early on in my membership days. And there was normally they would present a multifamily property, with the lead that bought the property and how it's doing. But this time they did something different, and they had an investor who was just focusing on the passive investing, and he had built a big portfolio of passive investments in multifamily properties. And it's like, wow, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Yeah. It just opened my eyes to a whole new possibility, rather than having to be the one, say, to find a property and arrange for buying it and managing and running it, that I could just find a whole series of them and just be an investor, and that would keep me with time to do my other passions in life. And so that just really opened my eyes to a whole new way. I love that that's available as a Lifestyles member.
Is it kind of an odd feeling that you're able to put your money to work for you? Your money turns around and it provides you returns, and you're really not doing anything for it?
Yes, that's a really good thing in my book. The work is on the front end, and there isn't really a lot of that. You want to get educated so that you're familiar with the types of investments and how to look at one and decide if it's worth investing in or not. So, that's a little bit of work on the front end. And then reaching out and building the relationships with lead investors, that takes some time. But once you're in the deal, basically they're running the property, they're taking charge, and then I get monthly reports about that, which I like, and I want to follow how things are going. And then every quarter, once the property is up and running, then there are distributions that come. The quarterly money, either a check in the mail or a deposit into the bank account. Those are very happy days in our household. Those are happy days for us too. I mean, my wife loves mailbox money. Yes. When I joined, I decided I was going to set 3 big goals. And one is, it's kind of a big step to go up into that preferred level of membership. But to me, there's just such a huge amount of training and mentoring available. To me, it's well worth it. And in the business world, I've seen, other kinds of programs where there are, mentoring available for whatever the business is. So to me, this was very much in line with that type of an investment. And I was happy to do it, but I set that as one of my first goals was to make enough investments that I could more than recover, recoup that money that I had invested. And then, of course, go beyond that. Another goal I set was I knew with the amount of money I had, I wanted to see if we could work our way up to 7 properties at least. And then I wanted to aim towards, we kind of refer to it as doors. I wanted to work towards 1,000 doors. So that all the properties together, you add up how many apartment units are in them, it would be 1,000 or more. So that gave me a kind of a track to run on that would keep me busy for a little while and help me stay focused, if that makes sense. And I think it's really important for any new passive member to really set some clear goals. What are you aiming for, and then how can you take the steps to get there?
So what do you look for in a particular investment? What are the things that catch your attention?
One of our goals is to invest all over the state of Texas, and we particularly like Texas, first of all, because we live here, but also the tax laws are favorable for investors. And so to me, there are so many properties available that while we could invest further afield, and Lifestyles members do invest in other states, we feel like there'd be certainly plenty of properties for us to be able to invest here. But my other goal is not to have them all be in the same neighborhood. I want them spread around different towns, different cities, and even different lead investors as well, to me, is really important. So I want a mix of people and places and properties. We have invested with several first-time leads, people that are just getting started as lead investors. And, one of the nice things with them is that a lot of times they're investing in a smaller property. They have a really high incentive. They want to get that property up and running really fast and have it return, an excellent return to the investors. And we've invested with 2 or 3 different first-time investors with very good results. I always encourage people. I love talking to new passive investors. It's a lot of fun just to encourage them to, help them get up and running and started too. I always say, ask other passive investors, who are the people you like to invest with? Who have you had good success with? Because every big lead investor, continues to grow their list of investors because as they keep acquiring more properties, they need additional investors. So to me, that's been a good way is to talk and network with other members because, we can be able to kind of help each other know, what's a good direction or where have you had good success.
Now, do you have certain benchmarks that you look for with regards to the returns that a deal could produce for you?
Yeah, I do. And I also try to keep my eye out in general, kind of what is the trend, because that seems to evolve a little bit over time. Right now, what I'm seeing is, in terms of those quarterly distributions, which is, to me, again, from Lifestyles learning, that's only one of the 6 ways that multifamily properties make money for you. But still, it's an important facet because that's the money that comes on a regular basis. I'm seeing anything from as low as, say, 5% up to 7-8% typically to start with, and then it would grow over time as they're able to go in and rehab units. When a resident moves out, then they'll go in and fix up or repair anything that needs to be done, and often can gradually raise the rent to whatever's the appropriate level for that market. And so then the returns gradually increase over time. It's not unusual to be 10% or more just for the distributions. The other thing that Lifestyles teaches in terms of returns is, a goal aiming over, say, 2 to 3 years of 100% return overall. And that would be, say, with either a cash-out refinance where, the property value has gone up enough that you can the lead can refinance it and pull some of the cash out. Again, those are very happy days in our household when that happens because that's money back that I can then take and invest again. So those are really 2 of the big immediate returns. And of course, then once a property sells, then the proceeds are distributed to all the people that are invested in it.
When you first started putting money into multifamily deals, did it feel like it was going to take forever for those returns to come in?
It did a little bit, that first 6 months, of course, right? But, I set up a spreadsheet. There's a little bit of engineer, right? I set up a spreadsheet to track them. I thought, okay, I'm going to keep track of them. And then as those distributions come in, and of course you need to do that for tax reasons as well. But it was really fun to get to watch that gradually grow with each property, as those distributions would come in. And just see the progress, see the pattern over time. So again, that's been kind of fun to do. It's a pretty simple spreadsheet to set up. And to me, it's just part of the pleasure of that process.
We're getting ready to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to get back inside of her head. Stick around.
As I sit here and read article after article and see TV show after TV show, the normal person out there on the street cannot overcome their fear to get to the analytical part of this whole process. I'm not afraid of, and I'm actually ready for a recession, a crash of value of anything and everything. Why? It is the opportunity to do incredible stuff. But that's my analytical brain.
The United States has a very strong economy. We will return to our basic economic foundation. This is not going to be the end of the world for everyone. But you do need to take some action. And some actions will be more productive than others. And one of the things that I think you can do now is take this time, like you said, Del, people are going to be sitting at home, and you have a time right now to change your life. Make what you have work for you.
You need to get into Lifestyles right now.
Join us for our free online workshop. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. So we've come to the last segment, and one of the things that I absolutely adore about spending time with my guests is the fact that I really get the opportunity to just kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what their investing is, what they're doing based on strategy, how is the investing changing their life. I've known Leslie pretty much from the day that I became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited all the way up until now. So I've been able to watch her grow as an investor. And, I'm sure I've amused her a couple of times with some of my antics. But it's neat to be able to connect with other people. And I think that's one of the neatest things about Lifestyles Unlimited is the opportunity to interact with so many different like-minded individuals that are trying to get to the same place that you're trying to get to. What are your thoughts on that, Leslie?
I agree with you. One of my favorite things about Lifestyles has been getting to know other investors, not just as fellow investors, but also really they become friends over time because we have a lot of things in common, and just that kind of growth-oriented, let's move forward, let's have some fun and grow together kind of a mindset. So I'm looking forward, hoping that in 2021 we'll be able to actively get back together, do things in person, not only with the workshops and the case studies, just to be able to, and the road trips where we actually go out and look at properties. Again, those have been some of my really favorite things in terms of Lifestyles memberships. One of the things I'm really looking at now is, as I've accomplished those first initial goals, was kind of, it's always smart to set some new goals. So really what I'm aiming for now is I'd kind of like to be like that investor that I told you about earlier that really had this, a big portfolio of passive investments. So my next goal will be to move towards to see if we can build it up to at least 20 properties. It's going to take me a little bit of time. But there's an adage in Lifestyles that you're going to run out of money before you run out of properties to buy. And I really found that to be true because there are many lead investors that, I love the way that Lifestyles vets them, trains them, works with them, mentors them. So they bring really fantastic properties available to us. So my goal is to build that up. And at some point, I'd love to, I really enjoy helping other people get started as a passive investor as well. That's one of my favorite things. So I look forward to when we can be back together and just to be able to encourage and cheer other people on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Speaking of investments, what is your favorite investment so far? I mean, which deal do you have that's really just done everything you expected it to do and then maybe even a little bit more?
One of our first investments, actually, it was one of the smaller ones, and it was a first-time lead. I really still one of my favorite properties. And part of it also is, all of our properties, I think, are good, strong properties, but it's something in the way that the lead is managing it that I really like. One of the things I particularly like about this lead is that he sends us not only the numbers every month, but he very often will give us a little bit of more of a narrative, some words about kind of what is going on with the property, what's happening, change, what's he working on, what's he looking at, and he'll usually put some pictures in with it as well. And to me, I really like that. I feel like it kind of comes to life much more than just the numbers on the page in the spreadsheet. So I'd say that one. And we just recently, in fact, our most recent investment was another property with that particular lead. And we've been hoping all this time that we'd be able to do another property with them, just because we've been so pleased with how they've run that first one that we invested with them. But pretty much almost all of our properties we've been pleased with. Every lead's a little bit different in their style and their communication. I feel like we can always ask a question if we need to. It's really fun when we get to see them present at a case study event and to watch how they present it, to the larger Lifestyles group. So it's hard to pick just one. So.
I'm going to switch gears on you here because I'm going to share some information that the audience doesn't know. You're a published author, and when I say published, I'm not just saying, you wrote a book and, that's in the past. You've written several books, and your books are really designed to help people go further. And one of the books you wrote was called No More Procrastination, which is, to be honest with you, something I need to get around to reading. So what advice would you have for people that are, maybe in that procrastination mode? They're not sure that this real estate investing thing is going to work. And if it does work, maybe it's not going to work well for them.
I think I have yet to meet the person that doesn't have some type of a challenge with procrastination in one area of life or another. And a lot of times it can be because we're hesitant, or we don't have all the information that we need, or sometimes we feel like we just need the paralysis of analysis can happen. And that's very common, I think, with people that are very numbers oriented, engineers, accountants, and so on. It's a common challenge. We always think a little more information will help us feel better about a choice. But there is a point where you have to take some action. And one of the ways I think to do that is really to find somebody else who's kind of walked the path that you want to walk. And like in our case with Lifestyles, one of the best things about it is that we're surrounded by other members who are moving forward, who are investing, who are, running that track that we want to run, and then so open about sharing the process to tell us what's worked, what hasn't. Here are the steps, and I just love that Dell from the very beginning has, left us a roadmap that we can follow. And, we continue to, it continues to be fine-tuned. Dell is still very active with the organization, and I love that. So we're even all the way through this year with COVID, we're continuing to learn, continuing to have updates. How do we best manage properties all through this time? We've invested in 2 more properties during this year. So I really love that, and I think that really has helped to be able to not be stuck with procrastination, but to keep moving forward with things. Having colleagues, partners, friends, mentors, I think can really make a difference in moving forward. Have you found that to be true for yourself, Al? Has that made a difference for you?
Yeah, it's made the complete difference in how we approach things. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm one of those guys that can get into analysis paralysis, and I can get stuck in my own little pile of goo and never get out of it. When I became a member, I was able to walk up to somebody that owned something like, 30 or 40 different apartment deals and just start a conversation with them and not feel intimidated because all of a sudden they had so much more than I had. Their attitude towards me was along the lines of, well, let me put my arm around you and help you through this process. And I have found that to just resonate through the entire organization.
I think so, too. And that's one of the things I particularly like about Lifestyles. An unexpected but really strong additional benefit, not only, of course, the real estate and the training, but just has been to be able to develop the friendships when I think about kind of my long-term goals for this next stage of life, part of it is to have a circle of friends around us that we share interests with, that we can do stuff with, and lifestyles friends have definitely become a big part of that. So that was sort of an unexpected, like a extra benefit that we didn't know would be part of that picture. But the other thing is just, the idea of, we do it not so much for the income, although, that's certainly important, but to be able to have the freedom and flexibility. I love that that Joe can keep going with his work, for as long as he is able to or wishes to. I want that for him because, it matters to him, and that we're building things for the future when we need that. But, I enjoy the learning and participating in lifestyle, so I've made that a big part of my daily life. I love that we've got that option. One of my goals is I want to go to all 50 states in the United States. And, I've had to press the pause button on that a little bit this year. But, last year I was able to go to 2 more, and so I've got 4 more to go. So, it's just a lot of fun to be able to have the freedom and flexibility to make a choice like that. Right now, my father is elderly and is needing extra care, and I love that, we've got the flexibility for him to have that. And for me to be able to have time to go over, now that we're finally able to go and see him, Lifestyles has opened up a lot of doors like that and given us some options. Then, we still have the freedom to choose what are those dreams and goals that we want to pursue. I bet you found that too. I know you've got some dreams and goals you're working on.
Yeah, I got a couple in the, my back pocket, but yeah, it is a different world. It is a different path that you and I are on, which is way different than the path that we used to be on, because what we have now, based on the fact that we're invested correctly in real estate, is we've regained control of our lives and we're able to focus on the things that we want to focus on because we choose to focus on them, not because we have to focus on them. Hey, Leslie, we're out of time, and I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I learned a lot from you, as usual. And if you would like to get started, go to freeworkshoplivestream.com.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.